All right, I'm on hole number 2 of the Liberty Tournament. I'm in Monday's practice round in the rookie division. Just out here checking it out with my practice account. Just getting a look at some of the holes. And today's goal is all about establishing what club and what ball I want to use. I'm kind of working on elevation numbers today, but I'm not too concerned about elevation numbers today. I'm really concerned about what ball and what club I'm going to use and which way I'm going to approach these holes. Some of these holes, there's one way to approach them, and then some of them there's multiples. But I'm trying to make sure that I can standardize that so that as I get into the rounds, I'm not thinking about what shot I'm going to take. I'm thinking once I get to the opening round, I only want to be looking at elevation. I already know what I'm doing. And what I'm doing here, and you can do this, my recommendation on this would be to use a rock or a QB, depending on which one you've got. If you've got an upper developed rock, use a rock. If you don't, use a QB. And if you use a QB, you're more than likely going to land right out in this area right here. I'm not trying to bring out a big club and get out into this area, because if you're out here, you're in long iron range, and if you're here, you're in short or you're in wood range. And if you can get right into this mouth, you're in minimum wood. And so if you're using a QB, my goal is always to get here. But see this little shadow right here? This is on the downhill. So where this points out is right here, and then it goes downhill and it goes into that little hollow, and then it comes back up onto the course. And it doesn't seem like it's a big movement, but it's right in our landing zone. So there's a lot of times where when you come through this zone to try and get out into here, your ball's coming down like this, and it catches it just at the angle that, and when it hits, instead of doing a bounce and bouncing up, it slides across the course, and it'll slide you right over to this sand trap in this. And I'm not trying to get out here. I'm not trying to get greedy. I'm just trying to end up in the middle of this freaking fairway. So if you're using a QB, your goal, my goal is if I'm using a QB, is to get right here. And so I use, to get me out there so that I can set this shot up, this is a pure setup shot, I use this point right here. So my ball guide with a 3-power ball is out here. I can't get to that area. So you have to look at it. So I'm taking my blue ring, taking 3 rings out, taking my blue ring, and I'm trying to line it up on the outside of that, where that rough kicks out into the fairway there. And then I'm putting on if I had a QB, I'm putting on maybe max 3 topspin. I'm not trying to get greedy here. I just want to end up in the middle of this fairway, this particular pad. So I'm doing about 3 topspin, max left-hand side spin, max left-hand curl, taking out 10% on the drive. No, is this the right hole? 10% on the drive. I'm adding on 10% to the drive. So if it's 3 win, I'm going to do a 3-3. And max curl, and then just trying to bring it around. It's a totally blind shot because your ball guide's going to look like it's pointing out here. And you're putting that curl because curl's not representing your ball guide, and you're just bringing it out into the middle and laying it up and taking your wood into the cup. And on the shot to the cup, I was looking at my notes, and for some reason I had +5 written down, and I was talking to one of my teammates earlier today, and he's using -10. So there is an elevation adjustment to the cup here, but I'm not sure whether it's a plus or a minus number. It's one of them. For sure. There is some number, I'm sure. I'm going to take a rock, and I'm doing the same exact shot, but because a rock has a lot more curl, I'm going to be 3 3/4 rings off of this transitional surface, and I'm going to put on max topspin, and it'll float me through this, and my goal is to end up right here on the inside of that, on the other side of that, which puts me at min wood. But this is a setup shot, purely setup shot, that you'll have to take with your clubs in order to get the trajectory right. All right, let's go pick clubs. Let's go pick clubs. All right, let's go pick out some clubs. Clubs. I'm going to take a rock, but I think for most of you it's going to be a QB, and I've taken that shot a bunch of times with my QB, and it's always been 3 rings off. And I'm going to bring a Kingmaker. Am I bringing a Kingmaker? I am going to bring a Kingmaker. I better buy some Kingmakers. A Kingmaker. Let's open up a chest. Got some free ones we can open. plus 10. I'm going to do the plus 10 plus 5 because that's what I had written down on my last notes from the last time I was here. And I think the last time that we had this, I did make this shot maybe once in each one of my accounts throughout the week. But it was one of those ones where I was working the elevation number to the cup. And it seemed like whenever I did one number, if I hit perfect, I should have did another. And then when I did the other on the next shot and I hit perfect, I should have did the one. It was this hole it's not the easiest hole in the world to get it up in there. See how my opponent's going to take it. What the heck ball is that? Oh, that is one of the Olympus balls. And they're rolling through nicely. Nice shot. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. Plus 10% to the cup, or plus 10%, 1.1 times 3.2 equals 352. Okay, so off of that point, about 3 3/4 rings. I'm doing max. Everything I can get on it. 3.2, 3.5. This is exactly the same way the wind was blowing the last tournament. Oh, and he hit 2 rings great on the right. It's getting a little laggy. Now I may hit that rough and roll over it in the sand. That's because I hit 2 rings great to the right. That shot with 3/4 of a ring, I can hit it 1 ring great to the right, and I'll hit that rough and roll over that rough and roll out on the other side. If I hit a 1 ring great to the right, if I hit it perfect, it goes right down through the middle. If I hit a 1 ring great to the left, it will miss the rough, because if you get caught up in the rough on the left-hand side, in my experience, it doesn't want to roll out. So that shot gives me a great to the left or the right or a perfect, but it doesn't give me a 2 ring great to the left or the right or the perfect. If you have a Spitfire in your bag, this is when you need to bring it out. You need to make sure you run it on this hole. And I don't even know if I have a shot with a Spitfire on this. I may. 2, 4. So the wind's blowing me. There's about 3.7. If I leave the wind in. And I'm going to rub up against the nubs. You know, 2 rings great to the left. At that point, I'm not worried about any elevations. I'm not worried about getting in the hole. I'm not worried about anything. Whenever you have a failure like that, your whole goal is to just get up there and give yourself an opportunity to recover. And my whole goal in this game, and hopefully what I can pass on to all of you, is the whole goal is to put yourself in the perfect spot for that shot to the cup. And if you don't put yourself in the perfect spot for that shot to the cup, or you don't put yourself in the spot for the clubs that you brought, then just get up on the green, get your birdie, move on to the next hole, and try and set yourself up on the next hole. Don't make a bad situation worse by trying to get too aggressive. Sometimes we can still be aggressive. We can still go for that shot. We've got a clean shot. We can still go for it. But sometimes you put yourself like that right there, where if you get too aggressive with it, you could be in big trouble. Always be cognizant of the minimum score. We can't do the whole deal is that if you go out there and you shoot the minimum score as your base, you can't afford to have any drops. And these city park holes have lots and lots of opportunities to drop a shot off the minimum score, where you're going for that eagle and you end up with a par. And so it's super important that if you find yourself in a spot of bother, that you just get up there and recover, get the minimum score, and then move on to the next hole. All right, that was hole number 2 of the Liberty tournament and Monday's qualifying round, practice round of the rookie division. Thanks for watching.